So good evening, everyone, and welcome to this Red Table Wisdom Talk. I'm Cathy Mines, the Director of Wellness at Reach Yoga, and I take my seat at the Red Table as host and call moderator. The Red Table Wisdom Talks are weekly conversations between Kahontakwas Diane Longboat and people worldwide who are looking to participate in exchanges that lift the spirit. This virtual community space is provided solely for the purpose of making Indigenous teachings available in the spirit of reconciliation. Diane is a ceremonial leader, traditional teacher, healer, and the founder of Soul of the Mother, a healing lodge on the shores of the Grand River at Six Nations, Grand River Territory. Kahontakwas, we make our tobacco offering to you with respect and thank you for your teachings tonight.
Thank you so much, Cathy. Hello, beloved relatives. It's wonderful to see you all again and to know that we have one more week together, that we are well and at peace. And although we're living in challenging and trying times, we find that those individuals who are taking care of their spirits, taking care of their spiritual growth in whatever faith tradition they find themselves in, are faring really well, actually, through this whole time and viewing it as sacred seclusion. So I want to give thanks that we find each other in each other's company again this week, that we are well, that our families are with us still, and that we are approaching a new time together. So grateful to you, Sangwe Dizon, our creator, the one who made all things, that you have given us the precious gift of life, that with that gift of life, we find ourselves here on Mother Earth with a spiritual mandate and gifts and connections to the ancestors. That our job here is to bring harmony into the world. We give thanks, Sangwe Dizon, for the creation of all the human family in its great beauty and diversity of all of the faith traditions, the languages, the cultures, and all of what has been given to each that makes all of us so rich as a human family, and richer when we share together, and even richer still when we unify with one heart and one mind, not to change who we are, but to bring our gifts together. We give thanks this day, Sangwe Dizon, for the great waters that are upon the earth, the salt waters, the fresh waters, the rain waters, and the birth waters. We give thanks this day, Sangwe Dizon, for our Mother the Earth, the great mineral life that is underneath our feet, the minerals that nourish all life here. We give thanks for our Mother the Earth, who continues to stand at her sacred fire in the core, the center of the earth, praying for all life beings and offering tobacco into the beauty of her sacred fire. We give thanks this day, Sangwe Dizon, for all of the plant life that is upon the earth, the grasses and the shrubs, the beautiful trees, the medicine plants that are taking root now, and for this new cycle of spring and for the summer season. We give thanks that those medicine plants nourish us, strengthen our immune systems. We give thanks for the standing tree people, the maple tree, who is the head of all the tree people in our area. It provides medicine in the springtime to cleanse our bodies after a long winter and to provide that sweetness of life through the maple syrup. We give thanks and honor to all of the sustenance that is provided by the plant life. And in our area, it is corn and beans and squash that all work together to provide what we need in our bodies and work together in the garden. We give thanks and honor to all of those plants, including the 4 sacred plants, the sage, the cedar, the tobacco, and the sweetgrass. And the tobacco is the lead of all of those sacred plants for the offerings that we provide, in order to be able to speak to you, Sangwe Dizon, to give something back for the great abundance that you give to us. We give thanks to all of the living beings that are in the waters, that are awakening now, the turtles from hibernation, the frogs in the springtime. We give thanks for all the fish that are also our sustenance, and for all of the living beings that are in the air, the birds that have returned to sing to us and uplift our spirits, and the birds who have special duties to perform as they come and back and return to us. In particular, we uphold the geese, for we know that in times past when there have been great famines, it was the goose that saved the lives of our people. And it is told that goose grease can cure anything. So we give thanks this day to all the flyers, to all the swimmers, to all the living beings that are upon the earth, to the four-leggeds and the two-leggeds that are here, and all of those beings that occupy that cycle of life, those that we can see and those that we can't see because they are too small and underneath the soil. We give thanks and honor to the four winds that refresh Mother Earth and cleanse her, and to the beautiful thunder beings that will join us next week to restore the health of the land, the air, and the water by the medicines that they carry. We acknowledge and give thanks to all of the beautiful teachers that are here in the spirit world, just high over the heavens of the earth, that have been placed there by the Creator. And from time to time, one of them has been lowered to the earth with teachings and guidance and correction to remind us of the sacredness of our lives, how each life is sacred, how each life is precious, and how we must all work together and support one another. We give thanks and honor to those four sacred beings, for they have brought us many teachings, dreams, visions, prophecies, and guidance. As we move above the earth, we see that there are stars that represent the billions of our ancestors that have walked before us. And they have a special place in those heavens to shine brightly upon the earth, to remind us that we can fulfill our spiritual mandates and that one day we will return to the stars. We give thanks and honor to our grandmother, the moon. Grandmother Moon, who is in control of our ceremonies. The grandmother moon who is in control of female life and the coming of new life to the earth in all of its forms, for fertility and for abundance. And we give thanks as human women for the medicines that the grandmother moon leaves for us each month. We acknowledge the great warrior, the sun, our elder brother who walks across the sky from east to west each day, never failing in his job to take care of life upon the earth, to bring sunlight to the earth for the growth and the evolution of the earth. We acknowledge the star formation that joins the earth to the spirit world called the Milky Way. And on the other side of that Milky Way, the fires of our ancestors that are burning there. They are understanding fully the work of the Creator to awaken the spirit of the human being to our sacred duties, to the earth and to each other. And we give thanks that those ancestors continue to walk with us. They continue to bring us dreams and visions. They continue to pray for us for a great awakening of the human family. The other fire that is burning in the spirit world is the Creator's council fire. And seated there are the great ones that assisted the Creator at the time of creation. They are seated there along with great warriors, great teachers, great healers, great leaders, those who continue to serve the Creator and answer the tobacco that we lay down each day. We thank them for their continued service to the Creator. And to you, Sangwe Disong, we save our purest and our finest thoughts to give thanks to you for the beauty of life, that you trusted us when you created us, that you placed us here on the earth for a divine purpose that we need to become conscious of. We give thanks and honor to all of those beings that are occupying this great cycle of life with us. And we thank you, Creator, for making us human beings and placing us here in this time period. For surely this is the greatest time period for the human being to be tested and to stand for peace, to stand for love, to stand for unity. So with these words, Sangwe Dison, we give thanks that we are able to meet again this week, that we have food, we have water, we have medicines, we have the comfort and love of our partners, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and our communities. And we, for all those things that represent the love that you have for us, we give thanks to you this day and say, Nyawa Sangwe Dison, for the great love you have for us. And we send to you our great love. Yahweh. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for joining me in that invocation, just to bring our hearts and minds together. The weeks are challenging and the weeks are filled with change, and many people have a difficult time with change. I personally love it. I thrive on it. If things are too static, I get kind of antsy and I start to look around at how I can build and make my contribution to restoring harmony. So I thank all of you for joining us this week. It's lovely to see you again. And I want to introduce my niece to you. I have a very special relationship with the Mi'kmaq Nation in the East Coast of Canada. And I've had the privilege of being very, very close to families in Elsipogtog and in ceremony with many of the ceremonial leaders in the community, and also at Membertou First Nation near Sydney, Nova Scotia. So I count Mi'kmaq Nation as close relatives, and I count them as brothers and sisters in this journey of life that we have now. So today I want to introduce to you my niece, Lisa Levi-Paul from Elsipogtog. Comes from a really beautiful family. Her dad is director of housing in the community, and her mom is also a ceremonial leader. And she comes from a beautiful family that's been dedicated to ceremony for many, many years. It has influenced her life and made her the person that she is today. And she is now a wife, a mother, and she is a graduate of Master's in Social Work program. So I want to introduce to you Lisa and turn it over to her now. Thanks, Lisa.
Well, Alan. Kweni na deluizi mesigis komoksit klojuis kamalkawit. Elsipogtog playowi pakte samantisha amishun. Well, Ali dandel jixidwio lagiskog dandel bipanimio tluogeno. My name is Blue Starlight Dancing Woman. I have the spirit of the wolf, and my warrior is the mountain lion. Diane messaged me a couple weeks ago and asked me to talk about my healing journey as a young woman. And I guess that I've known Diane, I can say almost over 20 years. I feel really old.
I feel really old.
I guess I want to first acknowledge my grandmothers here in Mi'kmaq. You know, the grandmothers that guide me every day, that brought me life. You know, I have Aleli, who is my mom's mom. There's Isabel and Malianchij and Sadie Pole, and I come from, and I love saying this because I'm so proud of it, but I come from a really strong family on both sides. And as Diane said, both sides have really influenced who I have become, and strengthened my faith in Creator and in the spirits. And I can remember even as a child, before there was ceremonies here, you know, because in my community, it's a very Catholic community. I grew up going to church, and I'm probably the only kid that I know that said they wanted to be a nun when they grew up. And it was just because I loved God that much. I loved praying, I loved talking to Creator, and I just loved everything about it, the feeling that I got when I went to church. And it wasn't until I was probably about 9 years old that I was introduced to ceremony. And the elders here started bringing that ceremony back, and it took a long time for people in the community to accept it. But with my family, it almost felt natural. You know, even though my grandmother Alili was very Catholic, she also grew up with a very strong traditional mother. And in those days, they had to hide ceremony. So my grandmother, Isabel, was a medicine woman and a midwife. And she passed on a lot of that knowledge to my grandmother, and in turn to my aunties and my mom, and even to each one of us. You know, I talk to my cousins, and each one of us carry something, a teaching that she gave us. We carry a medicine that she gave to us. And when we talk to each other, we're like, wow, I never knew about that. You know, she taught you about that medicine? And they're like, yeah. So, you know, the more we talk, the more we learn, and it's really amazing what she's left behind. So when ceremonies started coming around in our communities, it was almost natural for us to gravitate towards it. And I can remember hearing the drum for the very first time, and it felt like, you know, that feeling of going to church, that love I felt for Creator, and it just opened up my heart that much more. You know, like my spirit recognized that drum. And I can still remember to this day, the exact day. I was 9 years old. It was at a powwow, one of the first powwows that they had. And our elder Joe John started having weekly sweats. And man, for probably about good 3 years, I was there every week. 9 years old, going to sweats. I met Diane and Goki and everybody when I was probably about 15. Yeah, 14, 15. And I was never the type of person to go out. You know, I had friends that went out, and even though we were so young, they went out and partied, and I was a homebody. You know, and even to this day, I'm still a homebody. I hung out with my mom. And I'm so nervous. I never talked about my life. So around 13 years old, I started to find, I guess, my own, I wanted to find my own independence. And so I started, you know, venturing out more. And during that time, I started to experiment with alcohol and drugs. And I'd gone to a party one night and was taken advantage of. And I think that kind of threw me into a time in my life that was very dark. And it was right around the time that Diane and them started coming into our community. And I remember the first time I laid eyes on her, I was like, I know that woman. And I remember asking her, do you know this person? Do you know that person? And she's like, no. And later on in ceremony, you know, one of the things that she talked about was the reason why I felt like I knew her and that I recognized her was because our spirits knew each other in the spirit world. And that my spirit recognized her spirit. And that's the reason, I think, why I feel such a big connection to ceremony with Diane and with Goki. And they've helped me through so much in my life. And I still remember that time, like I can, I remember being in school from grade 8 up to grade 10 and being high every day. And the reason for that is because the being raped, not that wasn't even the hardest part. It was the being ostracized in school by peers. That was the hardest part. And so I was became a loner. And when Diane came, that whole week, I didn't even go to school. I was in ceremony with them the whole week. And when I went back that next week, I got pulled aside. They thought that I was high. It was the first time in 2 years that I'd been totally sober. But it just changed my life. You know, like even though I grew up knowing Creator and understanding Creator's love, I felt like being in ceremony opened up my spirit even more and brought me to a whole level of understanding, a whole new level. And those first experiences have really guided and still guide me to this day. You know, I remember getting sweat lodge ready with Goki, and she's guiding me, you know, telling me, put down the tobacco and this is how you pray. This is how you get ceremony ready. And that's what I strive for, you know, to teach kids the way that Goki taught me, because to this day it still affects me. I got my baby girl here hiding under my desk. And so throughout my life, I relied on ceremony a lot. I relied on Cindy, I relied on Diane. And it felt like I was home. We became a family. We've traveled ceremonies across Canada together. You know, we've spent so much time together, and that those years I cherish. As I grew older, and I'm a really independent spirit. I like to kind of not follow the pack. So when I graduated high school, I was probably the only person in my class that actually went away. Everyone went to Fredericton, which was close to home, and I went to Ontario, which is as far as I can get. And even in those years, you know, I still struggled, because throughout my life, you know, as a young person, finding my strength, my ceremony, I did the sun ceremony, you know, like I've gone through that. You know, and I was making fires, you know, when everybody else is out partying, I'm making sacred fires in my room with my candle for 4 days, sitting in my room. And, you know, I did that for many years until probably about, I was 18, and our family suffered a really tragic loss. And one of my cousins had committed suicide, and we were supposed to graduate together. And during that time, I also had gone and had an abortion. So I reached out, and it's funny because whenever anything happens in my life, then Diane are there. So they just happened to be in the community doing, it must have been a healing week or something. And I struggled really hard, and I still struggle, you know, now. But during that time, after Balin committed suicide and then the abortion, like it was really, really hard, emotionally, spiritually. I started to question Creator. And when I talked to Diane. They put me through this beautiful ancestor ceremony for the baby that I gave up. And it was so amazing. And it was so healing. And, you know, and one thing that they said was that baby girl would come back. And that's my baby girl here today. Because I look back at the notes that Jackie took during that ceremony, and they gave me her name, and that she would come back when I found her daddy, you know, and when I was ready. And it was my first year back at Sundance after being away from ceremony all those years, that I remember it was the last day, that morning, a voice woke me up and said, "You're gonna have a baby girl." And I thought, oh geez, I hope I'm not pregnant. I've been out here dancing, no food, no water for the last 4 days. Oh my God. And it wasn't until the next year that I found out that I was pregnant. And one of the leaders reminded me, "Do you remember what the spirits told you at Sundance this summer?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it was funny because I totally forgot. She said, "Remember them telling you you're going to have a baby girl?" And I was like, "That's right." And my mom at the same time had found a box that she put away for me, and I was going through it, and it was all my notes from ceremony, all the little doodles and things like that. And in that box was that paper that Jackie had written down during the ceremony for my baby girl. And her name is Dancing White Eagle Girl. The Sundance that I dance at is called the White Eagle Sundance. And I knew instantly that this baby girl was that baby girl. And she's brought so much joy. You know, I have 2 older children, and they taught me how to be a mom, you know, with all the frustrations and learning patience and all of that stuff. But this one is a whole other spirit. She gives me no issues. She understands Creator. It's an instinct for her. She understands ceremony. She understands spirit and ancestors. And she isn't afraid to acknowledge them. You know, when we're walking somewhere and she'll say, "There's ancestors here. I want to leave a gift." And she'll just start singing. You know, I'm going to leave them a gift and start singing the honor song. You know, so she's a special one. And that was so long ago, and it really helped me to understand that Creator has a plan, that it's not going to happen right away. It could take 20 years for plans to happen. You know, and through my life, I struggled very hard to keep my faith alive. You know, there was a time in my life where I didn't even believe in Creator anymore. I questioned everything, you know. I was in a place in my life that mountains in BC did not even affect me. I looked at them, and I even think gross now that I think about it, but I looked at them and thought, they're not even that nice. You know, they're not as impressive as I thought they were. Like that's how dark of a place that I was in. Because I struggled with alcohol and drug addictions after high school. And one thing that always brought me back is Diane telling me, "I don't worry about you." I don't worry about you. I don't worry about the ones who know ceremony, who know Creator, because you know where you need to come back to when you're ready. It's the ones who don't have that connection, who've never had that experience with Creator and with our ancestors, that need the help. And you know, and it's always proven true for me. During that time in my life where I was so underwhelmed with life, with anything, it's funny that science is actually something that brought me back to understanding Creator's awesomeness. You know, I had to go back to school and take science classes and learning about atoms and all those tiny particles and things like that. And I was like, you know what? That's one of the most amazing things that I've ever heard. You know, like Creator really is miraculous to think, to build us with those tiny particles, you know, the stardust. And that really pulled me out. Science helped me to find Creator. And I was living out in BC and my spirit wanted to come home. My spirit belongs here. It wanted to come home. I wanted my children to have, and I always said I never want my kids to grow up under res. But when I had kids, all I wanted them to do was grow up under res. Because there's nowhere else that you'll find family. There's nowhere else you'll find a connection and communities, like spirit, anywhere else except in your own home community. And I brought my babies home. And I started sun dancing again and connecting with Diane again. And I've never really looked back, and I've just really started working on myself spiritually since then. And I've been home 10 years now. And I've gone through a lot of changes, but as Diane says, I love change too. I started sun dancing again, and that's probably one of the best decisions I made in my life because it's really helped me to grow. It has helped me to challenge myself. And one of probably the biggest teachings that I've gotten out of my 4 years, well, several years, but 4 completed years is to allow myself one round to pity myself. Because I am the type that previously I would have laid in bed and cried. I felt sorry for myself, you know, like, I don't know what's wrong with me. And depression would take a big toll on me. And one of the leaders told me, she's like, take this round, take this break, feel sorry for yourself, cry, tell yourself you can't do it, and let it out. Saying, get back out there and let it go. So because you can't sit there and tell yourself you can't do it. But it's okay to acknowledge those feelings that you're feeling, but let it go and move on. And I'm sitting there, okay. But that lesson took me a long ways, and it served me outside of that Sundance Lodge. It serves me in life. Every day when things get tough, I tell myself, feel it, acknowledge it, and move on. Let it go. And it's really pushed me through a lot because I'm a quitter. That's something that I've learned about myself, is that when things get tough, I am a quitter. And it's really helped me to push through in a lot of things in my life. And I've started to make commitments to myself, saying, you know, like, I give myself time frames, you know, okay, you're going to do this until this time frame. and then you can reevaluate at that point, because that's something that I push on my own children, that if you start something, you have to finish it. And when you finish it, then you can either decide not to continue or to continue with it if you love it that much, you know. And now I'm sitting in my office because this was the quiet place I could find. I'm at a point in my life where I've been given a really amazing opportunity to bring ceremony into our communities. And it comes at a really amazing time, because I've prayed about this for so many years. And I've never, even though my ego told me that I'm ready, the spirits always told me that I wasn't, you know, because I had so much learning to do. And looking back, I really wasn't ready. You know, I really needed to find my own voice. And to find my own strength, you know, and I feel lately that all of these opportunities are just falling into place without having to even try, you know, and things I prayed for 20 years ago are starting to fall into place. And so, you know, big changes are coming, even for me, with this opportunity that I have with work. It's a big learning experience, and it's strengthening me every day. You know, COVID has blessed me. I love COVID. It's really, with my job, I work in Jordan's Principle right now, and it's just nonstop. I put my spirituality and myself on the back burner, trying to live this lifestyle, I guess, you know, and get this program up and running and doing this and doing that. And COVID slowed me right down. And I reconnected with my pipe. I reconnected with Creator and myself. And this has been like the most amazing few months that I've had. So I don't know what else to share, but I have my teddy bear.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I cried all the way through. You took us on such a beautiful journey from being a young child to those challenging teenage years. And just really the way that you speak from the heart. It's so moving, and it's so powerful to hear the voice of a young person talk about what life was like, the challenges that you went through, you know, the pain, you know, of violence, sexual violence, the healing that needs to happen, because, you know, drugs and alcohol certainly medicate that scenario, but you can't live with that scenario. And so, you know, it takes a really courageous and fearless, I would say beyond courageous, a fearless person to come out of that. And you really described so beautifully the support and love of your family, your community, and, you know, the strength that you pull from yourself to be able to see the way. And, you know, like all of us, you know, fall off the path, but always knowing when to get back on, and who's there, you know, to guide you and to inspire you. So I want to thank you for such a beautiful story and of your life, and glad that your daughter was there to listen to it and hear it, and that we actually have it recorded so that you can go back to it as well. And, you know, what you shared with us here tonight is going to help so many people, because as much as these sessions are for people we've been in ceremony with, you know, and some of you for a very long time, other people, because of social media, have the opportunity to listen to this as well. So thank you for that sharing of your heart and how you found the sacredness of life for yourself and for your children. Thank you so much. And I want to turn it back to Cathy now, because she's going to field some questions. Cathy's been crying right along with me all the way through, so pull yourself together, Cathy.
Oh my gosh. Lisa, we have an offering, a tobacco offering for you for your share, and thank you so much. I have a feeling in my body. I feel so inspired. I feel light. I feel relieved to hear that. I feel so grateful for that rich sharing and your personal journey. I feel so blessed to have heard that. Thank you so much. And everybody else, how are you doing, everybody? Anybody want to put your tissues down and share something? Anybody have any questions for Lisa or Diane? There's lots coming in of the chat of gratitude for your sharing. So step up, take a chance to speak to this young woman who is really showing us the light here.
So I'll say a few words while we're waiting for people to formulate their questions.
Sure.
You know, one of the greatest challenges that we have as human family in this time period is the challenge of mental health and addiction. And when you hear Lisa's story, you can imagine the challenges that our young people have that are very similar to hers, because there is such a high level of sexual violence and bullying and, you know, marginalization of people of color. So you know, in your communities, you're going to see many young people that are really suffering, you know, and I hope that as spiritual people, you go beyond the walls of your own family and you reach out to those young people and you offer prayers for them, that you offer a hot meal, that you offer an ear to listen to them, that there's, you know, tea and coffee and, you know, visiting that you can do with them that will show them that somebody cares. And in all the ceremonies we've done with young people, you know, when we ask them, what do you want in life? They always talk about two things. They talk about family and they talk about love. And to be loved unconditionally and to be loved within family is a true gift. So with the residential school system and the foster care system and the level of poverty in our communities, you know, that's not always possible. And so, you know, there's a lot of healing and a lot of outreach that needs to be done to restore reconciliation with our people, but also to share the bounty of what this place is. It's now called Canada, you know, to share with young people. And so if you can find yourself in a place of ability to give, you know, think about places that are like Covenant House, that are like Native Child and Family Services of Toronto, who operate many services for children and youth to heal, to learn their culture, and to feel safe in an environment of family and love. So, you know, there's lots to be done with young people. I'm really grateful for the words that Lisa shared, because what she found as part of her healing that's really significant for me is community. Relying on community to support you during times of great challenge in your life. Thanks, Kath.
Yeah, thanks. Crying again. Renee was willing to share of Mike and Renee. Are you there, love? Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, everyone. Hello.
Hi, we're probably very blurry. I'm just one second. Okay, that's probably as good as it's going to get. I apologize. Hi, Diane. Hi, Kitty. Hi, everyone. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for sharing such a powerful story. I also was moved to tears. So much of what you said resonated with me. And Kitty kind of asked if I would share a little bit of kind of what I've been going through. And we decided to do Sober October together, and I haven't looked back since. I also struggled with my relationship with alcohol and other things, and all the other things that go along with that. And since making that space in my life, I've just found my connection to spirit again, and the connection to myself, and just in my own way, maybe my own kind of ceremonies, and just these talks and these connections are so important to me. And I think if I hadn't have made that space, maybe I wouldn't be here in these talks today. So I just thank you so much again for sharing, because it's so important, I think, for us to be vulnerable with each other and to let each other in on kind of what's happening in our lives. Maybe I've realized, like, if I maybe had opened up about what I was going through, maybe I wouldn't have turned to these personally, to alcohol. But anyway, I'm so grateful for these connections. So thank you very, very much to all of you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Renee. Anybody else have anything that they want to share? You know, I was going to ask Lisa, did you want to say anything again after hearing a couple shares, and Diane?
Sure. Just with Renee's story, I just want her to know that each of us here, has that journey, and all the things that I've done in my life that I'm not proud of because of alcohol and drugs, and all the difficult times that I've experienced, I don't look at that as a negative. I look at it as a learning experience, and even with the violence that I've experienced, I carry no anger or hatred. And it's been a really long journey to let that go. But that's part of the process, and Creator has put us here to experience those things so that we can have more empathy, more understanding, to be able to help people who go through those same things. And some people look at their days when they were using as a waste of time, but I've never looked at it that way. I've looked at it always as learning, as a blessing, and I hope you do the same. I hope that you take those times and you take the lessons and the teachings that come from it. Well, that's it.
Thank you. I love young people. All right. So there was something from Darlene in here. So everybody is obviously becoming very inspired hearing about the power of the ceremonies. And Darlene says, settlers don't understand the power of ceremony. How do we increase their understanding and participation? So Diane.
So I'll answer that one. I think, the purpose of these calls really, and I've never told you how they originated, so I'll tell you that first. We were sitting at a table in, I think it was North Carolina, And elders were talking about exactly these topics where, the concern for the earth, the concern for the young people, the ceremonial life, and its powerful impact on transformation of a human being. And so, we decided to have these kinds of opportunities to share stories, to share just some spiritual pieces of spiritual discipline that will help you in this journey. So that's why we went through the sun ceremony for, disciplining your mind that the creator is real, that you wake up every day and the first thought is of the creator, that you depend on the creator for your life and you give thanks for all that you have and you humble yourself before that great power. There's, the sacred fire ceremony that we talked about, how to light a sacred fire to keep your home a sacred and a safe place, and how to go to that fire with your prayers and offerings to ask the creator for the help that you need, and do it in your own language, do it in your own faith tradition. The anger ceremony, which is a transformational personal ceremony, it's not meant to be done in groups. It's not meant to be like a community-wide ceremony like the Sundance. The anger ceremony is for personal reflection on the pain of life, and from the earliest memory of what anger and fear was all about to the challenges that we face today. So, as much as we can show you the pathway that you need to follow as white people or settlers, you need to follow that path and do your own work. You need to find your connection to your own ancestors. You need to find your ceremonies, your songs, your languages from that original time, because that gives you a power and an authenticity that is beyond description. And so I tell, the non-Indigenous people who have stayed at the fire for many years, and so they're on here tonight. So there's Frank and there's Vivi and there's Jackie. They've been with me for over 25 years at the fire, not because they're serving me, but because part of their vision to restore harmony on the earth with the spiritual gifts they've been given brought them to the fire to serve at the fire. They're serving the creator. And so their visions of that fire and what that fire can bring to humanity coincided with mine. So we were actually destined to find each other to be able to do this work in this lifetime. So, we worked to recover the strength and the power of our ceremonies, our songs, our teachings. The Longhouse is in our community is our way of giving thanks. 12 ceremonies per year, recitation of our prophecies, renewal of our medicine societies, teachings about what is a good mind and how to live that good mind throughout the year. So we've had to work hard, and the settlers are in the same position. You need to work hard to recover the authentic relationship that you have with your own homelands and with your own ancestors. And I've said to the non-Indigenous people in my group, Vivi, Frankie, and Jackie, when you walk in the homelands of your ancestors, they have been there so long that their bones are ground into the soil. And when you walk in those homelands, you're going to feel differently about who you are and the life that you have and the spirit that you carry and the mandate that you've been given in this lifetime. Settlers can't feel that here on Turtle Island because you were not created here. This is your home that we share with you now. But that feeling that I'm talking about, You'll only get it when you walk in England, Wales, Ireland, Scotland, France, Germany, the Eastern countries, Slovakia, the Czech Republic, Slovenia, Russia. You know, that's home. Those are homelands. That's where origins began. You know, and for the Black people who come to our fires, you know, many have returned to the continent of Africa and have sought out their original relationships with their ancestors there. And who they are today is so different than what they would have been if they simply stayed in Canada or the United States. And even for us, you know, as Ongwe people, when we travel to your homelands in Europe and we see the original cultures that you came from, there's something so profoundly deep and spiritual and honoring that we feel when we walk in your homelands and express that love for the land that is there and the cultures that are there, the history that is there. And when you look at settlers in North America and you see what has been built over here with capitalism, you see that we have definitely gone off the rails. We collectively have gone off the rails as a human family because community is now missing. Deep relationships within community are missing. The old kinship systems that caused social systems to function so that everybody had food, all children were cared for. There was no violence against women, no violence against men. There was no need to create warfare because there was enough for everybody and trade was abundant. You know, that's what we have to get back to again. And, you know, the story that Lisa told here tonight is a story of a human being walking back into spirit, walking back into relationship with the ancestors and humbling herself to be able to do that and admitting to the Creator, you know, yeah, you know, you gave me freedom to make my own decisions in life. And I have made some good ones and I have made some bad ones. And, you know, I need to heal from the bad ones. So, you know, that's the journey for all human beings. How you manifest that journey in your life is up to you, but you got to do the work. And it's not up to us to do your work for you. We can inspire you, but you've got to do your work. And, you know, I think about one woman, and I think I told you this story before, about how she was a CEO in a very large corporation and she left to walk the circumference of Ireland and with a backpack, and she rediscovered who her ancestors were and what her original homeland meant to her. And it changed her profoundly in every cell of her being. And when she came back to North America, she was a changed human being. So that's what's waiting for you, settlers. I don't really like that term, settlers, but you know, it's been used in the question, so I'll answer the question with that same term. But I believe, you know, that you're all treaty people, because if you come here to the Americas, there have been treaties signed here. And although our current governments have not upheld or honored those treaties, we do, as treaty people, have responsibilities to one another. So I feel as though we at Soul of the Mother, Frank, Vivi, Cindy, Jackie, and myself, and you know that there's a core group of people around us that support us, that we're fulfilling our duties to you when we hold these talks and we say, this is the way, this is the inspiration, This is what your healing can achieve for you. It can transform your life from a life of depression and addiction and sadness to a rich life of fulfillment when you find the Creator. So, you know, if there's one thing I can tell you about what you need as the medicine for the future, it is what Lisa told you this evening about empathy, that you must have empathy for one another, for not a non-judgmental positioning in relationship to other people. And my mother always said it best when she was raising us, because she brought us into the city to go to high school. And so that's the first time us kids were raised on a farm in the 50s. And now we come into the city of Toronto and we go, whoa, who are all these people that are here? And we're struggling to understand and see like people of different cultures. And she said, always remember that when the Creator made you, He made everyone equal. That no one is better than anybody else. Some people might have more than other people, but that doesn't mean that they're better than. So this is an important time for all of us to recognize what are our spiritual gifts. What are the spiritual values you want to live by? And pray for the teacher that's going to come into your life to guide you in this journey. Because all of us have teachers. I have a teacher. You know, Cathy has a teacher, and probably many teachers. You need a teacher to be able to guide you through the transformation that is waiting for you. Because the greatest medicine that you can achieve in your life is love. Loving unconditionally. Love will heal. Love will transform war. Love will heal the land, the air, and the water. You must, if you're going to survive the challenges that are coming towards us, you must use that greatest medicine that the Creator has given to us, which is love. You've got to be able to generate it. And that will, I guess in, plain English terms, save you as we go forward. Because this COVID piece is not over and won't be over for a long time. But beyond COVID, there's many other challenges. And so to be able to meet those challenges, you have to be strong spiritually, first and foremost, knowing the Creator, humbling yourself before the Creator, and seeking the Creator in your life to manifest in your life. And that's a simple prayer of surrender. All of us had to surrender. We had to surrender our ego. And, Lisa said it really well, that she had ego that she had to let go of. So these times that are coming are ones in which the fulfillment of prophecy of our people will take shape. And so we have an opportunity to mitigate some of the hardcore things. And the way that you do that is to become a person dedicated to your own healing, follow your healing journey, transform yourself, follow the Creator. And when I was on a call with the Islamic Supreme Council of Canada this past week, one of my Muslim brothers said, we must develop a God consciousness, a God consciousness. So I would say, as Ongwehonwe people, that's what our ceremonies help us to do, is to develop a God consciousness, a Creator-centered consciousness, and a desire to continue to connect with the Creator for all aspects of guidance in our lives, to have a conversation with the Creator about how we walk today, what is important today, how do we solve our problems today. So I want to thank you for listening and for being on the line, for continuously coming to these sessions every week, and we always have, 60 to 70 people that join us every single week. And, who knows who listens to these recordings afterwards, but, Cathy has become a tech giant in this process. And in like 40 minutes, she's got everything loaded and recorded and, set for the next week. So I want to also uphold you, Cathy, for all of the time and the energy and the love and the support that you put into this process. And thank you for your love and your respect and your support. And thank you to Lisa this evening for that beautiful sharing that really deeply touched everybody on this call. And I hope there's much more of it. We'll have other people, come and talk about their challenges, their stories, and I look forward to that time as well. And I know that Cindy is on the call this evening, and we wanted to end the evening with Cindy's song. And before I do that, I'm going to turn it to Cathy if there's any announcements to make.
Thank you. It's a gift for me to be able to be in service to you, of course, Diane, and all of you as we do this. Today I did receive a really beautiful note that came out from our relative in the US, Sunny. And Sunny, I would like to ask will you unmute yourself, and are you even still on? I'd love for you to read that note, and then we can slide into Cindy's gift of the song. Would you share that note? Because I feel like I loved it so much, and I think it's important. Oh, Sunny, are you on?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Give me 1 second to pull it up on my phone. So this was an email that I sent out to the people that I invite to this talk each week, because I know that Soul the Mother invites people and Cathy, you invite people. So I just sent this to the people that I invite. Good evening, my relatives. I'm sending this email to reach out to you and ask if you are able, would you please consider making a donation to Soul the Mother to help them facilitate continued opportunities for all of us to learn and benefit from the sacred teachings of Creator presented by Diane Longboat and shared with you by way of the Red Table Wisdom Talks. For those of you who have never been to the lodge in Canada that sits on the Grand River, that is our home lodge, where we do the ceremonies that are spoken about in these talks and so much more. I want you to know that that fire is burning daily for each one of you and for all of humanity. That fire is taken care of by Cindy, and the wood that feeds that fire is provided by Soul the Mother. That wood pile is getting smaller and smaller and needs to be replenished. I don't know about you, but these talks are my spiritual nutrition during these changing times, and they keep me going from week to week. This walk is my life, and I made a covenant with Creator to do His work for the rest of my days. So for me, knowing that the fire is burning at the sacred lodge of the Soul of the Mother for me, and that fire is connected to the fire that sits at the altar of Creator, fills my heart with love, joy, and gratitude. That fire burns for all of us, not just me. These times are challenging for each one of us in very different ways. One of the first things I learned from my teacher, Diane, was that nothing comes to you without sacrifice. I also learned to have faith that Creator will always take care of me and all of my needs, and that teaching has held true, that no matter what, no matter how difficult my situation is, Creator is always there for me and always provides for me. If you are able to support the continued work of Soul of the Mother, please go to, and the website is listed. Cathy has it listed here on the sidebar. Thanking you in advance for being a part of these Thursday evening Red Table Wisdom Talks and for being a part of my spiritual circle. That means so very much to me. With much love and gratitude, Sunny, Earth Mother shows her heart.
Thank you so much, Sunny. That's a beautiful letter. So I wanted to say that, you know, I'm grateful to Cindy for keeping that fire. She's out there every morning lighting that fire so that when those morning pipes are burned at 8 a.m. and people are burning tobacco at 8 a.m. and again at 8 p.m., that fire is alive and it's supporting all of us. One of the things that we're challenged with, of course, is that we never charge for ceremonies or the medicines or the teachings. We acknowledge that the Creator loved us so much that He gave us these things, and we, of course, we work for them as well. But the Creator gave to us when we were deemed ready to be honorable enough to be able to carry those teachings and those ceremonies, that we had earned it and that we had worked hard to purify our spirits. So our lodge at Soul of the Mother was everything that we have has been donated. And that was told to me in a vision when I first laid down that fire in 1994. And that it would be the will of the people that would support our work. And that has been 110% true. You know, I mean, we wrote a couple of proposals here and there, and they never really went anywhere. But it was totally the work of the ceremonies, the presence of that lodge, and all of the people who serve in that lodge, and all of the ceremonial community of that lodge that has made, that has created Soul of the Mother. And so, you know, who is that mother that we talk about that is our soul? It's Mother Earth. And so, you know, we feel that from her central fire, which burns in the core of the earth, that she's feeding our fire. And, you know, we have a responsibility through that fire to feed others unconditionally, non-judgmental, and to do it in the spirit of love. So we need, for the winter, we're going to come up like, yeah, it's going to get hot pretty soon. But, you know, come the fall time, we needed another wood stove for our lodge. And the reason we're asking for that wood stove and for donations for that wood stove is because it's got to be placed in the lodge where the elders sit. We do have a wood stove that we raised money for, and it does a good job. But at the other side of the lodge where the elders sit, it's really cold because that's where the west winds come in at that point, and the northwest winds. So we want to put a wood stove back there. So if you can help us with a wood stove, that would be great. And, you know, it doesn't have to be a lot of money, but it's a gift of the heart. And that's how I've always run the ceremonies that I've been responsible for. Some people can give and some people cannot. And you know what? No one ever knows how much anybody gives or doesn't or is not able to, because the way that the circle functions is that everybody is treated with equal love and compassion. So here we are, and it's 9:20. So I'm going to ask Cindy if she's still on the line. If she's still awake. Are you awake, Cindy? If you'll do a closing song for us. I hope we can hear you because you've got such a beautiful voice.
Before I offer the song, I really want to acknowledge Lisa and how proud I am of her. And what an honor and privilege it has been to share a few steps of your amazing journey. So I'm going to sing a song to honor you tonight. I hope I sing it correctly. So be merciful with me. So I'm just going to go on some like this. Get me the diamond, Candeliano, Nega Masto, Kimawi Dane. Get me the diamond,
Now to you, Cindy. Thank you so much. How did she do, Lisa?
Well, at least said A1.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Thank you so much, everyone. All my beloved relatives, take care of yourself. Have a beautiful week ahead. Take care of each other. And we'll see you again next Thursday. Kanalunkwa. I love you very much. Agweko. Kanalunkwa.
Thank you.
Kisaulno.
Kanalunkwa.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Go home.
Bye.
Say good night, Ireland.
Good night, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Lisa.
Famous and girls.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Love you.
Merci beaucoup, Lisa. Thank you, everyone.
Rich.
Yahweh.
Thank you, Lisa. I love you.
That's from
Love you, Beebs.
Love you.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Sweet dream.
You're good.
Vicky and Ali.
Ito.
Good night, Marianne.
Good night, John Boy.
Thank you.
Don't forget Jim Bob.
Nyawa, John.
Mary Ellen.
Exactly.
Right there.
This is my favorite part. Oh, yeah. Then it's I'm going to stay up and listen to the call again. Oh, yes. So keep typing in your love. Remember, all of the videos are on our page. So I put it in the thing. On my Reach Yoga page, there's a dedicated page for the Red Table Wisdom Talks, and all of the videos are there. Or if you can find, we also have a YouTube channel. We're so fancy. Reach Yoga TV. But all these videos are there. I think, I don't know, there's so many people watching them. I think, I don't know, do I watch them so many times? I'm making the numbers high. They're so good. They're so good. Go on and keep rewatching. They're loaded. Okay. I'm going to.
Question.
Yes.
I have a question since you're here, which I was going to type, but this is to Diane. Are you going to talk at any point and let us know what the full revelation is as to what's coming, as you mentioned it tonight?
I don't think that I could reveal that to you, and I'll tell you that it's important to take care of your spirit and your own healing first, because you can, if your mind is not strong and connected to the Creator, you can spin out of control and go down a very dark place.
Right.
With the challenges that are coming.
Okay.
And the best way that you can prepare yourself is for your healing, your connection to the Creator, surrendering to the Creator, humbling yourself, and taking care of your spirit in whatever faith tradition that you choose.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So also on the homepage of Soul of the Mother, Diane has actually prepared a beautiful piece of writing for all of us. So if you're looking for, if you haven't got enough protocol, ceremony, and love from the calls, go on to the Soul of the Mother homepage and read the homepage. Beautiful protocol of what can help us right now.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Let's let Grandma go to sleep.
Yes.
Thank you, Diane. Thank you, Lisa. Maybe Lisa's already gone to sleep. I love you all. Sweet dreams, and we'll see you next week.
Oh, there's my Denise.
Yeah, Denise, Kendall.
Kendall. My girl Kendall is here. Okay, we're going to have a good visit now.
I know.
Do you want, shall the rest of us leave you for a cup of tea?
We should just stay on.
As soon as we're
Thank
out
you,
of
my
line,
girl Lisa. So proud of you.
Lisa, I love you, little girl.
Your daughter, she's so beautiful.
Loki and Di.
Like, what is she? Cupcakes. Yes.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah, she's just been sitting under the desk playing.
Good girl. But listening and learning the whole time.
That was amazing, Dad.
Look at me.
So beautiful.
Sweet cheeks.
how's the fishing?
Good. Horrible. We're catching baby ones.
With sharp fins.
It's a striped bass, eh?
Find any spot.
Oh, don't do that. Gopi sees you fishing when I.
That was good singing, G. Good singing.
Did you like her song?
Thank you, Kathy. You did a great job.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going to close the call, and that's it.
Night.
Night. Night.